Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of In the Spotlight. I'm Mike Kenichi, and I'm very excited tonight. He's currently a junior at Shelton High School, was the defensive end for the Shelton Gaels, who reached the playoffs this past year. He also plays lacrosse, and he's played many years of basketball. It is my honor to welcome to the show Mr. Jeffrey Wojtowicz. And Jeffrey, I want to thank you for coming on today. It's a real honor.
No problem.
So, Jeff, let me ask you this. How did the love for football begin? You played flag football when you were a young kid?
Yeah, I started off just watching it at home with my family, and then my parents signed me up for that, and then it just kept growing.
Right. So, how old were you when you first played? Would you say?
Oh God, 8 maybe, like second grade maybe.
Right. And I think what's good about flag football is they don't tackle, but they do everything else. They wear the pads, they block, they teach you defense and offense and stuff like that. Did you think flag football was a good learning experience to get you prepared for tackle football?
Yeah, I did, because the way they taught you to like rip the flags off, it was basically like the form tackling for tackle football. So hit, wrap, and drive.
Right. And your first year that you played, did you get a lot of playing time that first year? And what position did you play your first year?
First year of flag football.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't really remember, but I remember I did play a lot of guard and line, so
Right.
that's where I really started practicing most of it.
Right. And as a young kid, Jeffrey, it's not always easy to play the line because when you're a young kid like that, like anything else, you want the ball, you want to be able to do that stuff. So, did you enjoy playing guard on the line as a young kid, or it didn't really matter as long as you were out there?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It didn't really matter too much, but every once in a while I was like, I kind of want the ball.
Right. And they didn't really complicate you guys with a lot of plays your first year, but you did learn some basic offenses. What kind of offense would you say you ran your first year?
Uh,
They teach you to pull at all, or?
oh no, we didn't do any. Oh,
No.
Yeah. Later on in the season, they taught us like stunts, and we ran. They were just like little X stunts with the D end and tackle, but it wasn't like anything crazy.
Right. And the difference between flag and like AYF, Pop Warner is you guys would play 2 times a week, correct? You play one game on the weeknights and then one on the weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were always getting to play football. And did you love it that first year? Like were you in love with the sport or did it take some time?
I fell in love with it. It was great. So I really loved it.
Right. You've played basketball a lot over the years, and I know you played biddy basketball for a long time. What was like the first few years of biddy like for you? Because I'm sure in a lot of ways you made a lot of friendships along the way playing biddy.
Yeah, I did. Because a lot of friends from the football also came over and played biddy, and it just the friendships kept growing. Biddy, it was good because it was a smaller team, so you talked a smaller group, so
Yeah.
you talked a lot more and made better friends.
Right. Now, what did you like more when you were a kid, basketball or football?
I gotta say football.
Football, right? Now, did you play baseball at all, or was it strictly basketball and football?
I only played 1 year of baseball. It wasn't too bad, but it just didn't feel the same as like basketball or football.
Right. Now, Jeffrey, your father was a big time runner when he was in high school. He ran cross country, did track. Did you ever have a desire to run, or were you not into that?
Um, I tried it out in 8th grade. They had a cross country team. It wasn't for me.
Right. So let me ask you, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's say your third or fourth year, because you played flag for what, 5 years before you finally got to play
Yeah.
at the AYF or whatever. So what would you say, like, let's talk about maybe like your fourth season. Did you feel confident in your ability? And what were you playing by then? What positions?
Yeah. I felt a lot more confident playing the game, and at that point, the coaches really like got to know me, and they started putting me at almost every position. So I'd play line, and then maybe another game I might play slot. So they made me go for some patterns. So
Right. And now, were you the type of kid that would go to the football games every Friday night, especially if they were home games? Did you like going to see Shelton play as a young kid?
I would try to go sometimes, but it wasn't. I didn't always go.
Right. And even basketball, Jeffrey, you were on some pretty good teams. I think even one team, didn't you guys win the championship? Or, talk about that a little bit, because that's always a fun experience when you get to do that as a young kid.
Yeah, one of my biddy teams, we made it to the playoffs and we ended up losing, so we went to the loser bracket, and so we had to win out the rest of the games, and the last few were really close ones, and being able to really change the game sometimes with a few plays that really made it fun.
And that had to be very gratifying to know you started off in that losers bracket after losing and coming out with the championship. That had to be very rewarding for all of you.
Oh yeah, for sure, that was extremely rewarding.
Right. So Jeffrey, let me ask you this: what was it? 8th grade where you finally got to play AYF, or was it 7th grade?
I actually didn't play AYF. I went all the way up to 7th grade for flag football, and then I took a break my 8th grade year, and then went and played freshman.
Right. And, what's really remarkable about that is you feel like you would need at least a year or two of tackle football to really be a factor. And you've been a factor right away for the high school team. So let me ask you, was there a part of you that was nervous freshman year, not ever playing tackle football, or were you just ready to go?
No, I was absolutely nervous. I was just nervous for like the different style of like hitting, because I wasn't expecting. Like I was really used to flag still, so
Yeah.
I wasn't really accustomed to like tackling.
Right. So talk to me about the freshman football team, because it's a whole new ball game. And the other thing is too, you sacrifice a lot of your summer. You got to wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, do conditioning, then there's weightlifting. Was that an adjustment for you, or it didn't matter? It sounds like you're very motivated and very committed, but was that tough for a 14-year-old kid to have to kind of sacrifice some of his summer?
It wasn't too bad. It definitely was a sacrifice, but it was a beneficial one for sure, and I enjoyed it.
Right. So talk about that freshman team. I believe that would be the freshman team of 2019.
Yeah.
And who was your head coach, and who were some of the coaches on the staff that you played for that year?
The head coach was Darby, Coach Darby.
Yeah.
And then Coach Wood and Coach Rich were the assistant coaches. It was great working with them. They were really good, and they really helped me with my like first year of tackle. They really helped me like benefit. They taught me a lot.
Right. And now, did you play defensive end right off the bat, or did you play freshman? And what did you play on offense? Did you play a little offense that year?
Yeah, I played tight end as well.
Tight end. Yeah. And the thing about tight end that's good is, I mean, they're always like the secret weapon out there on the offense, because they always catch the big passes, especially on third downs and stuff like that. Did you enjoy doing that right away? I mean, were you into that position?
Yeah, I loved that position right away. It was either I was blocking and we had a big run, or like you said, I ran a pattern and had a nice catch.
Right. And how would you evaluate your season, just you on a personal level that year? I mean, what were there any games that stood out to you where you said, you know what, that was a great game for me, and I feel like I'm really getting good at this?
Yeah, there were a few games. Cheshire, definitely. I played really well. We lost that game, but I personally think I played really well on the defensive end. And then I think it was Fairfield Prep. I had a really big catch on the second or third down, and it just felt really rewarding.
Right. And Jeffrey, the team as a whole, and we'll get into the varsity soon, but let's just talk about freshmen a little bit again, is the fact that week in and week out, there are no easy games. You play a tough team every week. There are no days off. So you're playing physical teams week in and week out. I mean, how do you guys, I mean, is it tough at times? I mean, because you're trying to keep everybody healthy. I mean, because when you play physical teams like that every week, it's also very hard to win every week as well.
Yeah, it was definitely hard. We had to work really hard as a team and really bring each other up and make each other better.
Right. So talk about defensive end a little bit, Jeffrey, because that is a very important position on defense. You got to contain. I mean, you got to get to that quarterback. There's so many responsibilities. You got to pursue stuff like that. Did you find it difficult at first playing it? And it sounds like you said, those coaches really helped you adjust to that position. But was it difficult in the beginning?
Yeah, it was definitely challenging at first, and then as the season progressed, I started to get the hang of it a little bit.
Right. And do you have a preference? What do you like playing better, offense or defense?
I really enjoy defense. I feel like if I had to choose, I might play defense.
Yeah. And the thing is, with both offense and defense, there's a lot of responsibilities that you have. You have to learn cover, plays, defensive schemes. The offense changes week in and week out. You're always implementing new stuff. Is that tough at times too? Because it's a lot to retain. But it sounds like every time I watch you guys play, you guys seem to just do everything very well, which is why practice is so important.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging at first because every week we put in maybe a few new plays and we have to remember the old ones as well. But just practicing them over and over and remembering what to do on each play, really practice helped immensely.
Right. Now, let me ask you, I know you've been playing lacrosse and you play goalie. Did you play lacrosse before high school, or did that just sort of happen when high school started?
Oh, that was before high school, so I started around fifth or sixth grade.
Oh, wow. So talk about that a little bit. I mean, what was the first couple of years like for you? Because a lot of people really love lacrosse, and many of former Shelton High School players have went on to play college, play lacrosse in college. So talk about lacrosse a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So I started off the first few years. I didn't really understand the game that well. So my coaches just told me, they just asked, do I want to try like a position? And one of my coaches came up to me and was like, do you want to try playing goalie? I was like, all right, sure. And then from then on, I just haven't really stepped out of the goal, and I've been playing goalie the whole time.
Right. And we'll get to the pandemic in a second, but were you able to have a lacrosse season last year? I know most spring sports happen. Were you able to have lacrosse last year?
Lacrosse we had last year, we weren't able to have it freshman year.
Freshman year, right. So talk to me about that first season as a varsity lacrosse player. How was that like for you?
It was really different. Um, especially not playing freshman year. Um,
Yeah.
Jumping from right up to varsity as a sophomore was crazy, and but it was really enjoyable. It was a good season. Didn't turn out how we wanted it, but it was still a really fun season.
And now, do you enjoy playing goalie? Because I mean, one thing about it is it's nonstop action, so you're always going to have to make saves and stuff like that. But how do you like playing goalie?
I enjoyed a lot. I'm almost like the quarterback on a lacrosse field, so it's really fun to just like talk to all the defenders and make sure everyone knows what they're doing, and then in the end, hopefully save a shot.
Right. So let's get back to football a little bit. So you lose your sophomore year. I know there was like a little 7-on-7 and stuff like that, but for all intents purposes, you lose your sophomore year. How difficult was that? Number one for you, but also for kids who were seniors at that school. I mean, you feel so bad for them because they just missed out
Yeah.
on their senior season. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was really yeah, that just was not good. I felt really bad for all the seniors because I could see they wanted to put pads on, they wanted to throw the helmets on and hit each other. Um, but jumping from sophomore year to junior year and then putting the pads on and playing varsity, that was really different because I didn't have a JV season for football.
Yeah.
I went right from freshman to varsity, so that was another big jump. But it was the coaches helped immensely with coaching.
Right. And speaking of the coaches, Jeffrey, your freshman year, you were on the freshman team, but Coach Roy, it was his final season for the varsity. Did you have an idea he might leave that year? And was there a little disappointment that you weren't going to be able to play for him?
I didn't really know that he was leaving, but it definitely was a little disappointing that I wasn't able to play for him.
Right. And I think the good thing is, though, the coaching staff stayed intact. He left, but everybody else stayed. And of course, Coach DeFelice would end up getting the job. And you kind of feel bad for him as well because his first year was like not the year he should have had. He didn't get a season, obviously. So
Yeah.
really, his first year was this past season. But just talk about how it's been playing for him because to me, you guys didn't miss a beat. You guys made the playoffs, so he's kept that ball rolling.
Yeah. His this year he was a great coach. He worked us hard and he made sure everything was crisp when we ran plays in practice and made sure we were all ready to play, conditioned, knew what our job was on offense and defense, and all around he was just a great coach this year.
Right. And I think one of the big things why Shelton is so successful, Jeffrey, is that weightlifting program they have, which I believe Danny Dune plays a big part in that. Coach Dune, he's
Yeah.
a tremendous strength and conditioning coach. He did it at Southern for many years. Just talk about not only the job he does as a defensive coordinator, but also the job he does in the weight room.
Yeah, he does a great job as a defensive coordinator. He makes sure everyone knows their jobs and assignments on defense, and make sure everyone does it right. And then in the weight room, he's great. He knows to make sure that everyone's doing their lifts right, and make sure everyone is lifting the right weight. And he's always encouraging us to do our best in the weight room, always screaming at us, always yelling, always making sure we're doing everything right.
Right. So talk about your junior season, Jeffrey. Again, I alluded to earlier how you guys made the playoffs, but for you to be on that field after missing a whole sophomore year and you play varsity, and again, it was only your second year ever playing tackle football, had to be a good feeling, and it had to kind of validate what you are as a football player because to be on that field in a big school like that with so many great athletes, it had to make you feel good that you were out there in the mix.
Yeah, it made me feel great. I was so happy to be playing on the field and getting um, opportunities to play on and get time playing. It just felt great.
Right. So talk about that season. A great year for you guys, and I mean, it had to feel like football again. And every Friday night, you guys are playing a game. And just talk about how do you feel you did that year because you did have some big games that year, this past season, and you really played that defensive end position almost to perfection.
I definitely felt like I had plenty of good games. Some maybe not so much, but overall I think I did like a pretty good job for this being my first season on a varsity team.
Right. And you guys, again, I mean, you had some big wins. I mean, there was obviously, I think you won 9 games. So, I mean, or 8 or 9 games. So,
Yeah,
the tremendous season. And to come back after, again, missing a whole year had to say a lot about the dedication and the commitment that you guys as a group put in. And that's a credit to the seniors as well as the coaching staff because they're the leaders and they really, prepared you guys for this season.
yeah, yeah. The seniors were a big help. They made sure we were all doing the right thing. They were keeping us in line. It was really fun having them as seniors.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about some of the players on this team, Jeffrey. Like first off, we know that defense, it's a very good defense. Who's going into this season? I know it's kind of early to tell, but who do you see being on the defensive side of the ball for you guys?
Um, I definitely see Joey Gelati as the other DN. He was this
Yeah.
last year too. Um, Aiden Sipkowski, he's a linebacker, so he's definitely going to be on the field. It's gonna be difficult to say because there's a lot of our seniors played the defense, so losing them is going to be a big loss because they that was almost half our starting lineup on defense. Um,
Right.
there's going to be a lot of sophomores stepping up to play defense. They got big shoes to fill, and same with our uh, my class, the junior class. So I could see um, Kanye Tinney. He's a cornerback. I could see him stepping up and playing some
Yeah.
good defense. Um, uh, I could Rads might get some reps in at D line. Depends on how he's feeling. Santos
Right.
definitely. I
Yeah.
can see Chris Taylor. He's a sophomore now.
Oh yeah, Chris played forever too. Good kid and a very good player.
Yeah, he's definitely a good player. Puts in the work. He does whatever he can. He's always bringing people up too. That's the great thing about him. He's definitely a sophomore leader. David Stajlico,
Yeah.
he's a sophomore. He puts in a lot of work too, on and off the field. I can see him playing cornerback. Ty Wood, I can see as a substitute at D end. He puts in a lot of work too, and he's always working hard at practices. I can see Anthony Martinez too. He's a big kid, strong. Probably get some reps in at D line. So, yeah, we should have plenty of kids to fill the missing spots.
Right. Now, is there a goal for you to be involved in the offense a little bit as well this year? I mean, or are you strictly going to be a defensive player?
No, I definitely want to get in some offensive reps. I can always help block on tight end sets or go up for a little pass or something. I definitely want to play some too, though.
Right. And this past Sunday, Jeffrey, you received a very wonderful honor. You were recognized with a prestigious award. Talk about that a little bit and what that feeling was like for you.
Yeah. So I got I got an award for sportsmanship and character. That was the Bullsworth Award. He was a walk on at Arkansas. It felt I felt really good to receive that award. It was just an honor.
Right. And I mean, it shows the type of work you put in. Again, like I reiterated before, it's really only your second year and first year of varsity football. So that says a lot about you. Now, let me ask you, Jeffrey, what could we expect from the lacrosse team going into this season? Do you guys expect a good season? I mean, how does it look right now?
Yeah. We have a really young team right now because we lost almost our entire starting lineup this past season because they were all seniors. We're a really young team, a lot of sophomores and freshmen.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put in a lot of work, but I can see us being a pretty good team.
Right. So, Jeffrey, let me ask you, you're going to be a senior now. I mean, is there a goal to advance your football career? Do you want to play in college or you haven't really given that much thought right now?
I've given thought about playing lacrosse in college, but if I can, I know it's a big step, but I would want to try to play, be a two-sport athlete and play football and lacrosse.
Right. Now, Jeffrey, one of the things I wanted to ask you as well, and I know that you really weren't around when it was a real good rivalry, but they did away with the Derby Shelton Thanksgiving game, and I believe you guys are going to play Xavier Thanksgiving Eve. So let me ask you, is there a little disappointment not being able to play a Valley school on Thanksgiving, especially Derby, which is right near you guys? I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been such a long rivalry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a little disappointment, but I mean they don't have enough kids, so I guess they can't.
Right. And Jeffrey, there's always we talk about the great teams that are in that SEC that are so good, and every year it's just a tremendous football. It's great football being played all the time. Who are some of the teams that you think you guys are going to really have to watch out for this upcoming season if you want to compete for a state championship?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to watch out for Fairfield Prep.
Yeah.
I don't really know our schedule this season because of I think we dropped to the Class L.
Class L. Okay.
But I don't really know who we're playing this year yet, but it's gonna be a tough season for sure.
Right, and you do have a good amount of returning players, though, right? I know you lost several seniors, but you still have guys that stepped up and played last year. Right now, who's going to quarterback the team if you had to guess?
Probably Michael Kinnick. He was quarterback last year too.
Yeah, so he is coming back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a great year last year. And again, I mean, these are kids that all lost one full season of football, and I mean to come back last year and again to make the playoffs. And I believe you guys won your first round game and then you lost your second one. So, I mean, this team really had a great year. So I would think these coaches still would expect big things from you guys coming into this season.
Yeah, definitely. Our coaches are going to work us hard. They're definitely expecting big things from our team.
Right. So, Jeffrey, just on a personal level, obviously you want the team to do well. You want to compete for a championship. But in your final year as a Shelton Gale, what is the biggest goal for you on a personal level? What do you want to accomplish going into your senior year?
My biggest goal is probably to win a championship ring, but also to just be the best player I can be on the field.
Right. Well, Jeffrey, I really do appreciate you giving me a few minutes. It was a pleasure to interview you. I've watched you, and you're a great kid, and could remember you when you were a little kid playing in the Biddy basketball games. So it's really great to see what you've become as an athlete, because I see the hard work and dedication you put in, and I really do applaud you and congratulate you for how well you've done in your athletic career. And all I could say is just keep it going.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, folks, that is Jeffrey Wojtowicz, and I'm Mike Kenichi, and this was In the Spotlight. And have a good night, everyone. Take care.